prepare you for your oral presentations. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm guessing about 10 to 15 minutes just to talk about the skills. So, how to do an oral presentation while making a healthy snack without reading. Without reading means not standing in front of you with your cue card with all the words you want to say shrunken onto there so that you're just reading them like this, because what are you losing when you're doing that?
Eye contact.
Yeah, eye contact, good. So I have my recipe, I've reviewed it, I know pretty much what's on there. It doesn't tell me what to do with each of the ingredients, but I have a prompt there. I also have some visuals here. Let's go to our next slide. So why? Why are we doing this? Because oral presentations are part of the curriculum for English. You're going to need to know how to do this for the rest of your life, but specifically past the classes you're in now. Oral presentations are useful for everyday life in the workplace. You might have meetings with your bosses where you have to convey ideas, also in future academic programs, and doing them well and knowing how to have strategies on your side that will help you present better will help you to have more success in your presentations. Hands up if you get stressed out about oral presentations. Okay, I know lots of you guys, it's your least favorite thing, so I'm going to try and talk you through a demonstration of how to do a presentation in a way that's going to help you feel less stressed out. Okay, I talked to my period 1 class about what I was going to do, which kind of is like practicing your presentation, right? I woke up this morning, I was a little nervous. So why am I nervous? Because I wanted it to go well. A little bit of nervousness is good, but when you're so stressed out that you don't sleep, or you're afraid, or you seize up, then that's not good. So let's go to our next slide. I'm going to make sweet and tangy pineapple cucumber salad. It can be served as a side dish or as a condiment. It's also really delicious, which I'm going to serve today, rolled in lettuce wraps. Super healthy snack. I've got all my ingredients there, which I have prepared here. I did some of the prep work in advance. Next slide. So, where did I first hear about it? This is like your introduction. I first heard about this while I was walking through the aisles of Whole Foods, which is not a product placement or a pitch, but that's where I happened to find out. Someone said, would you like to try some of this recipe? And I said, oh sure. There's no risk to me, it's free, it sounds delicious. So I liked it, and I said that would be a really nice sort of thing to know how to make. And it looked pretty simple, and it had very few ingredients. Okay, why do I like it? Go back for me. Why do I like this recipe? Because I tend to pick up when I want a snack what is easy. I go for the fastest thing, because usually when I get home I'm hungry, so usually I'm reaching for like carbs. Okay? And I know that that makes me crash, and unless I'm going to go out and be dancing for 3 hours, I want a healthy snack. Hands up if you often reach for something that's not the healthiest because it's the easiest thing to get. So a lot of us. And who ends up sometimes feeling like they're not maybe getting as much vegetable and fruit as they should, because even though we know that some food is not as good for us, it's delicious. But the reason I'm presenting to you today is to show you a snack you can make that is very tasty, has lots of good textures, and is full of vitamins, which could replace some of your, I really like tacos and things with like chips. So this actually has some crunch to it, and it's gonna have a nice filling in it that is quite tasty. So what I'm doing here, I'm gonna use a personal story, hook my audience, explain to them what they're gonna be hearing about, and try to get you interested. When my first period class came in, they saw this, they're like, what are we doing? They wanted to know. So already just the visual is helping you stay engaged. I also want to convey some personal engagement. You've all seen presentations where someone stands and they look like they're bored by their presentation. It's hard to be interested in someone who's not interested in what they're talking about. So we're going to start with our recipe. Next slide. Getting ready. I've got all my materials. Same with the presentation. You want to make sure you have everything you need. I forgot mint, so at 7 this morning I had to go to the store and pick up some mint. All right? You want to make sure you don't forget anything, because that can be stressful for you. You want to dress the part. I'm going to take off my sweater because I don't want my sleeves to get in the way. And I'm also going to take off my dangly necklace. That's not to say you have to dress up for a presentation, but what do you want to do? You want to make sure that you look professional. You don't have to dress up in a particular way for your presentations here, but if it was a job interview or a presentation, you want to look the part. And you don't want the way you're dressed when you're standing in front of people to make you self-conscious or uncomfortable. Like you don't want to be fixing stuff and feeling like you're all falling apart. I'm going to review my key ideas. I'm going to make you guys a recipe. I've got everything I need and it's laid out in a way that I can get, pretty good eyeball of everything, and hopefully that will help me smoothly make my recipe. I haven't had to stop talking yet, and I haven't really had to not make eye contact with you guys, other than to see what's next. You want to be familiar with your material, and that'll mean that you'll be able to speak naturally and connect to the audience without really spending a lot of time reading off of a page. Next slide. Great. So, knowing my audience, I asked you a while ago if anybody had allergies. So far, nobody has any. We're not making anything with nuts. Okay, and I know that there are people with allergies, but not anything that is applicable to this. But one last question. Anybody have a dislike or allergy for mint? Cucumber? Lime? Pineapple? Lettuce? You're all good. Okay, so my ingredients are safe. I want to find out in any presentation who's my audience. Right? I'm sure that if I brought in a bunch of Krispy Kreme donuts, you guys would be excited. But my whole purpose of my presentation is to show you something you don't already know. I don't know if any of you already know how to make this, or if you consider making a snack that's just full of veggies. So, next. My thesis is that I'm going to present to you how to make a snack, and I'm going to use all the visual aids to help you follow along and make sure I don't have to rely on reading off a cue card. Cool? That's my idea. I think that if I give you guys strategies to use your hands and talk while you're doing something, you'll feel less nervous, because I basically know eventually all this stuff has to get into this bowl, and then I'm going to hand it to you. If I know my end goal, and I know what it's supposed to look like, and I'm familiar with all my ingredients, I'm going to be able to talk about it in a way that makes sense to you and do it in a logical order. Okay? So, likes and dislikes, we've covered that. Okay, so we've talked about my idea. If we get home and we're hungry, we usually reach for something that's convenient. And why is that a good solution? Okay, that's what I'm going to hope to show. Next. I did some prep before. I could peel my cucumbers. I chose not to. Could someone on their cell phone look up what's the nutritional value of cucumber? Like, why eat cucumber? Yeah, anybody who has a cell phone, go for that. I'd also like someone to look up for me, what's the nutritional value of pineapple? So if someone could look up pineapple, Luke, you've got cucumber. Somebody else get out their cell phone. Yeah, look up pineapple. Anybody who's got one. I know you all have them.
Rigel.
Yeah, Rigel, let's go for pineapple. Okay, pineapple and cucumber are main ingredients. All right, so I prepped everything the night before. I washed my lettuce. I chopped off the end of the lettuce. I let the leaves dry, and then I chopped it into pieces. And I have 2 containers of pre-cut lettuce. If I was serving this at a dinner party, I would just peel off one big spear like this, and you can eat it like a little taco, right? So you put all your filling in here, and you're not getting all the deep fried stuff that would usually be with a taco. You're getting a lettuce leaf. This is also really good if you wanted to add like sauteed turkey or chicken to this. It would be very tasty, especially if you're not allergic to peanuts. Doing it with like a peanut sauce is quite tasty. So I have this prepped. I have my mint. I have my limes. These are already cored. So I'm doing my background research. I'm making sure all the ingredients I need are ready to go. I've got this cored already because it's a little bit of a task to get it all properly peeled. It's a little more expensive, but it's good to go now. Yeah, I forgot my mint, so I had a little bit of stress with that. And the onion is there, and limes. I've got my lime zest already done. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of lime zest, which I grated beforehand, into it. And I've laid out my materials in a way that gives me access to everything. What's that like in a presentation? This is my background. What's this like if you were doing an actual presentation? Yeah.
Your roadmap, like you're telling people what you're going to tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've laid out my ideas, I've given you a roadmap. I've also done enough research to know what I need to know and what I need to do with what I know. Good, thanks. Next. I cut up my cucumber. You could do it with peel or no peel, so I'm going to go through all my ingredients now. I just cut it in half basically to give myself a little bit better things to work with. I'm going to slice down and go into some small slices, so you end up with spears, kind of like that. And then I'm going to go along and cut them into pieces, being careful that my knife is sharp enough and not to cut myself. Then I will throw my cucumber. I don't care about the peel. Some people don't like the taste of the peel, but since it didn't bother me, I left it on there. I'm going to put it all into my bowl. I've done a little prep in advance, like I'm on a cooking show, and it's all in there all ready to go, in nice little bite-sized cubes. You can make it really small, and that would be great, but it takes a little more time, and I'm not that fussy. So, I'm going to elaborate on my points, like the APE format. I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing or why I think the things I think. No peel, doesn't really matter to me. I'm explaining to you all the ideas about that, and I'm supporting it with evidence. I'm showing you how I got to my end result. I'm using the cucumber first. Why do you think? Why would I choose to start with my cucumber? Because it's less juicy than the other things, and it's not going to make a mess of my cutting board since I don't have access to a sink right now. I'm making sure that the least mess is the first part so that I can continue cooking. All right, next. Next we're going to go with the mint. Okay, it's a good thing I went to get it. I don't know, I'm not very particular about the amount of mint I need, so I'm just going to pull off some of this. It's pre-washed, and I'm just going to pulverize it a little bit. I'm not an expert chef or chopper, and I'm no Janie Oliver, but I've got a little bit of mint there. It smells amazing. Can you guys smell that? The mint is getting a little bit of an aroma into the air. Plus it looks nice, and it just adds a little bit of a different flavor. I'm going to get a little bit more, because I have quite a lot of cucumber and quite a lot of you. There we go. So I'm just making sure that it is fine enough that you're not going to get like a whole mint leaf, although that would taste kind of great. And the mint, the good thing about it, is that it will counteract the onion and make sure that your breath smells awesome after this. Great, next we have onion. Who here likes cutting onion? You can notice behind me it says I'm involving my audience. I'm getting you guys engaged again. In case I've been doing too much talking on my own, I'm going to make sure you guys are connecting on a personal level. Who cries when they cut onion? Yes, it's hard not to. I've heard that there is a strategy where if you touch your hand or your wrist to a cold faucet, it prevents you from crying. I don't know if this is true or if this is just a tale that people tell. But I'm peeling my onion. I'm going to use about, for the whole recipe, about this much. And this is the one I'm going to try to dice into the smallest pieces. Okay, so just cut it into little slivers. I'm going to try and get them as fine as possible. And then I'm going to go back over them and cut these up. If I had more time, I would say, come up and try cutting these. Someone else can do that. It would be secretly a way of getting you to do the onion cutting. I'm so far so good, I think, because the room is very big. I am not feeling the effects of the onion as much as if I'm in my kitchen. Also, I chose a sweet onion because I think it'll go nicely with this. If I wanted more color, I could choose a red-skinned onion because that might add some nice variety and texture. But for right now, yeah, just be careful not to slice your little fingers. But as you can see, I have explained my ideas and supported my choices with proof and with variations to show that I have maybe not a deep knowledge, since I'm not a trained chef, but a little bit more than just a basic understanding of my concepts. Okay? And I'm sure that you guys are thinking right now, how does that, connect to my presentations and what I would do in a presentation? Just gonna make sure one final time that those are nicely chopped up. Is there anybody who hates onions? Like can't eat them? These are pretty mild. Okay, since nobody's saying no, I'm gonna go ahead and just pour those into my bowl. Good. Great. Next up I have, sorry, let's move to this. This is the explanation. When I got here this morning, I had no PowerPoint, and then I decided you guys like PowerPoints, so let's talk about how to use them properly. Rather than standing here and just reading exactly what's on here, I'm going to let you do the reading so that you have sort of multiple things going on. You guys are multitaskers. And I wanted to just mention quickly my visual aid. The hands-on element helps me feel comfortable. Like, if you are one of those people, hands up, how comfortable are you standing in front of people and having them watch your face? A lot of us feel really self-conscious. So what's the trick going on here? When you guys are listening to me talk, most of what you're listening to and looking at is the stuff going on here. It's like the don't look at the man behind the red curtain, Wizard of Oz effect, right? Distract them with something they can look at, which is still you, but it's less like, oh, like she looks nervous. It's more about what I'm doing with my hands so that you get that effect. All right, takes attention off of you. Next, pineapple. This is our second to last because it's messy. Okay, I have already pre-cored these by getting them at Longo's. I'm not totally sure how I want to cut these, so this will be a little bit of a gamble. I think I'm going to do them this way. And it's fine to have a little bit of freedom in your presentations. You don't have to know exactly and read exactly what you want to say. When I write things, I tend to like to write it exactly. Like if I'm writing an essay, someone's going to be thinking about every word choice. In a presentation, it's a little different. You want to be accurate and you want to be clear, but it's not so much about exactly every word, it's more about the vibe and the overall conveyance of information. Is conveyance even a word? I think so. Okay, so I'm quickly going through and chopping these into cubes. That looks pretty good. You can see that. I'm going to put those in here, and I'm going to try and do the other half. I probably overbought my ingredients because I didn't want to run out. But I'm going to go back through. I'm slicing them into half, and then each half I'm putting into slices. And I'm going to go back through. Woo, I've lost a piece. Pineapple down. It's okay. When things come up in your presentation that you're not expecting, just roll with it, because you're in charge of your presentation, and nobody else knows exactly what you were going to say except you. So the most important thing is to just stay calm and carry on, like those awesome posters that have become so popular lately. Okay, so the pineapple is creating quite a lot of juice, and that's good, because we're going to need something to get this all mixed together. The next thing is our lime, and this is a really fun part because I've washed the limes already. I'm going to cut them in half, and I'm going to use one of my favorite tools. I really wanted one, so I got one as a present for my wife in my stocking one year. This thing. Right? What is this? I'm going to use a blank. What do you think the blank refers to?
Nothing.
This thing. What's the problem with me not knowing what this thing is called while I am using it in my presentation? See, and this is messy, which is why it's been saved for last. What's the problem? What's that like when people are doing a presentation? Yeah.
It's annoying because you want to know what they're doing and like they don't know, so it shows you're not really.
If I don't know what I'm doing, it makes my audience start to doubt me, right? They're not totally sure. They start to feel like nervous for me. I've often had people do presentations where they're talking about something and the concept, they should know the answer. They should know the answer because it's part of the vocabulary of their presentation. I deliberately left that blank. I still don't know what the name of this thing is. It's like my pulverizer. I don't know what it's called technically, but if I was doing a presentation and wanted to really impress my audience and gain credibility, I would want them to know that I was familiar and prepared. So I would want to know what my vocab was in advance. Okay, I think that looks like just about enough. So what's next? What's my next step? Oh, I'm just going to eyeball it and see whether I think I need anything else added. I'm going to pull out the stem of mint, which I found in there. I don't want that. Okay, that is looking really delicious and colorful. It's wonderful. Don't you feel like you're watching like a Food Network?
No, not really.
There you go. No, not really. Why? Is it because I don't have like a beautiful assistant standing here? Okay. Or like a gourmet kitchen? Yeah. Thank you to my lovely assistant. Okay, so that's all good. I think I want a little bit more lime because I feel like that would be good. And what's my next slide say? See, if I start to get nervous and maybe like lose my place, I know that I have a visual reminder coming up. So I guess what I need to do is tell you in the end that now as I stir this up, I'm pretty much near the end of my presentation. And what I want to make sure is that you know I've laid out all my points. I have illustrated my ideas. Okay? My point was, how do you do a presentation with vegetables? That's what my period 1 class said. Why are you using vegetables? What's that about? And I said, well, they've gotten to see everything I've been doing, therefore they understand this. It's better than me simply showing up with a basket full of stuff. I mean, it would be good. And just be like, here, this is for you. Now they've seen the process. My last question would be about presentation. If I present it just in Tupperware, it's not as nice as presenting these things to you in these lovely matching patio-safe bowls, right? You get the metaphor with presenting? You want to make sure everything looks like it's not a last-minute effort. I did have to carry a whole extra bag in with me today, so I had these serving dishes. But I think it was worth it because the visual appeal of these details is going to help my audience feel more like I'm ready and like what I do I care about, right? You've all seen someone hold up a pencil drawing and be like, this is my poster. You can't see it in the back row. It looks like they maybe just did it on their lunch period. Okay, you want it to seem polished and well prepared. How do I connect these ideas is what I want you to be thinking about right now. How do these things I've just shown you and these strategies connect to your presentations? That's my overall goal. I want you to have been thinking about that throughout the presentation. And last slide. When I'm finished, I don't want you to just say, that's all, or okay, I'm done. and then run away. Your last statement should be an opportunity for your audience to think further. So I hope you're all excited to try this. I am. I haven't tried it yet, today. So I'm excited to share what I've made with you, like the ideas you often share with a class. I also want you to have an opportunity to ask questions. And most importantly, I want to ask, do you think that you could make this? Do you think you could try making this? I think someone at home would be very impressed if you're like, I've created a lovely, colorful